right, welcome everyone to round one. Remember, this is a shorter round of Swiss. We've only got 3 rounds of Swiss today before we go to our extended top 8. So we're going to have our players good to go. This is still best of 3. So the way that this is going to work is that anyone that finishes 2-1 or better in the Swiss will make top 8. Anyone that finishes 1-2 or 0-3 will be out of it. So basically, you got to get 2 wins and you're in. You don't get 2 wins and you're out. So that's how it's going to work. Pretty simple cut. You guys got to love when it's a clean cut like that. Looks like Roshi taking a mulligan here. What do you see from these keepers, these hands here, Lights Out Ace?
Yeah, I mean, it only has 2 power, so it's just going to have to go away. Portich's hand is exactly what you signed up for. You have 2-drop into another 2-drop because you can't cast Terror right now. But any hand that can do that, I think, is a keep. You don't want to risk getting a hand that can't do anything. Oh, all right.
Yeah, Roshi going down to 6, so kept. What did we end up getting here? We got a Stone Scar painting, did draw a seat there. We also have these new blueprints. The blueprints have been pretty sweet. I know those have been pretty well received by the players. Roshi going to help fix some of the power there. Moldermuck in hand, another copy of blueprints, and a Sanguine Reaper. So good 3 and 4 drop, but that's all the hand's doing at this point.
Yeah, I love to see blueprints. I just think decks don't play enough power as a general rule, so blueprints are a way to fit extra power in there and not floods. There's no feel bads. And also, it makes a relic for Sanguine Reaper.
It's true, it does. Like it's helping out the bad players like me who are saying, here's a way that we can force you to play more power in your deck. We'll trick you into playing the right amount of power.
I just want to play like 35 power in every deck and have like a bunch of chants and blueprints and amplify power and whatever. I just like hitting all my power drops.
Absolutely. Portich going to play out that 2-drop Ursa Squadron. That's a nice 2-drop to start things off. And while Portich can't play the 3-drop because can't cast Terra with the double Justice Influence, you got a grip full of nice 2-drops, though. You got the Rage Raptor just drew the Janitor Dovid as well, plus a bunch of other 2-drops. So Portich, if you can't play a 3, this is not a bad 2 to follow up with.
Yeah, Roshi's only answer to Dovid is Defile, which is not in hand right now. Like a Moldermuck blocking does not kill a Dovid, though it will kill it now since it got that buff from Glenn.
Here we go. That's a big Moldermuck here, 6-4. Another
buff on
Tara
Moldermuck is just so impactful. Like normally, if you didn't block the muck, because like you don't want to block it, like it shrinks itself and it has decay and shrinks your guys. You would take 11 damage from a full muck. But then when you get 2 buff like this, like suddenly that is doing more than 25 damage and killing you by itself.
Roshi, you're going to fire off, and here's that Sanguine Reaper. So a little bit slow out of the gates and not the greatest hand, but a big Moldermuck and a Sanguine Reaper is looking pretty good here.
Oh, wow, I was expecting this to be a defensive Reaper, but with that buff, the Muck will still trade with Dovid, like, even after shrinking ones here. So Roshi is just like, well, I might as well attack and force the issue here next turn, get to draw a card off of the Reaper by using the blueprint to get a relic.
Oh. Turns out
then,
the shrunk Moldermuck still being a 5/3 is super relevant here.
I forget the name of the Shadow Room, but it casts a ghost form, which is pretty good at winning races.
Valise the draw. So unfortunately for Portich, Tara in hand, and then the last 2 draws were a second copy of Tara and then a Valise. So two more uncastable cards. So Portich still has the Rage Grafter and the Iron Priestess, but the 3 big hitters that Portich drew cannot cast any of them.
Yeah, you never want to be the aggro deck and be looking to block against the sort of like deck that combos its 4 and 5 drops.
Yeah. Sure, you're in bad shape when that happens. So lining up attacks with the 2/2 drops, with the 2/2/2s.
And those will trade with the Moldermuck. So Portich able to get this Moldermuck out of the way and not trade the Dovid in and give Roshi the soldiers. Although Roshi can just attack with the 4/2/1 now instead of the 5/3 muck and still have a unit that blocks Dovid back.
All right, Sentinel Mold the draw here for Roshi. When you play a unit, the top unit of your deck gets +1 attack. Pay 3 to increase that ability by an additional +1 attack.
And they don't really want to see that at this stage in the game. You have no more units in hand. You already had a relic for your Sanguine Reaper. Just kind of going to be a low impact draw, but not likely to matter because Roshi's going to be drawing extra cards with Sanguine Reaper, and if he floods out, he can just activate the Stone Scar blueprint to get a weapon.
All right, lining up attack with, as you mentioned, the 4-2. Actually, attacking with the bigger Moldermuck, going to get down to a 4-2, and then also the Sanguine Reaper in the air. But that 4-2 is going to trade off with that Rage Grafter. Hey, Roshi got another 4-2 out of it, though. These, as you mentioned, these pumped up Moldermucks, you just get free ones basically, and those are all threats.
Dovid can swing in now, but like Roshi is ahead in the race by a full turn or two here, and like Portich gets to play Terra now, but there's no guarantee that Portich is going to draw this big Warcry thing to swing the race in the next turn or two. I'm liking Roshi's position with this Daheen putting a 2-turn clock on. Portich basically has to play Terra, hit a huge thing, and then like give it overwhelm with Valise in the next turn, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yep. As you said, Tara going to hit the board. Going to give Warcry 2 to the Rage Grafter. Daheen Blitz, and that was the right. You mentioned not drawing the the relic isn't the right time to draw it. Well, that was the right time to draw Daheen Blitz. Getting that, not sitting in your early hand and drawing it right when you want to cast it this turn. That's going to be nice next turn for Roshi. What do you need for this? Amplify 5? Okay.
Yeah, so Roshi's not going to amplify that this turn. This is just going to be Daheen Smash, and then next turn Smash again for the win.
Pretty good.
Valise is not going to provide enough damage. It's only going to be 14.
Yeah, and look at that Sanguine Reaper here as well. 7-power Sanguine Reaper is pretty nice too, even if this Daheen Blitz does get answered. Nice follow-up.
Argo's technique would save Portich if either of their units were soldiers. These units are both not soldiers.
Not. Good call. That's right. Dovid and Tara are both not soldiers. It's a cleric and a paladin. Oh, that's rough. That is funny when you're playing when you're about to take
15. Yeah. would swing the race enough to win, but
I guess there is some downside to playing these really powerful 2 and 3 drop. But you're playing a deck named soldiers. Most of your cards are soldiers, but 2 impactful cards, neither one being a soldier is, it has some downside. There's a cost to playing it that way.
Game 1 going to go to Roshi's Valkyries deck here, which really you love to see when it's the sort of spicy new deck instead of the stock. Like everybody knows about soldiers. Like it's fine. And like it's fun to play, but I like to see the new decks do well.
Absolutely. I actually like that interaction though on Portich's side that there is a cost to playing those. Now I know saying that there's a cost to play Dovid is a little bit is debatable, but I do like that there is some tension, and it's not just, hey, this card says soldier, put it in the deck, I win, right? There's some tension there, having to deck build and balance how the powerful cards versus the synergies and strike the right balance between those. All right, attacking in, and as you called it, Roshi gonna go in the back of Flyers, gonna hit for 15 on that last turn, more than lethal for Roshi there. All right, that looked pretty good from Roshi's side. It didn't seem like, I don't know, Portich did miss a little bit, stumbled a little bit early, but Roshi was on a mold of 6. Portich had sort of a perfect opener, so yeah, credit for Roshi pulling that one out, made it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, both these decks are very capable of killing your opponent if they miss a step, and like Portich missed second J for a turn, and like large charging Flyer is going to get you. If Roshi had missed power for a turn, the buffed up soldiers would have gotten him.
Yeah, that's true. The Flyers did look pretty relevant, at least in that game. I'm not sure if that's really what it comes down to because of how fast the soldiers deck can be, but it did look like Roshi had a lot of the power coming through in the air. So if there is like that ghost form or, the Flyers, just ways to get through damage, it does look like Roshi has the tools to win a race.
The big thing of concern there is Skimmer Wrangler is a 4 of in Portich's deck, and that stuns 2 Flyers on summon.
Yeah. All right, well, they're ready for game 2, so let's head down. Roshi looking like that's an easy mulligan again. I guess they do have a...
Replace any card in this hand with a rock, and that hand is its snap keep.
All right, that one looks a little bit better. Portich also looking at a hand of 2-power, Atara, Skimmer Wrangler, Valise, Iron Priestess, and Rage Grafter. So 2/2, 3/3/4. Not bad. Need some influence help, though.
Portich could miss on a power here.
Yeah, could miss on a power, could miss on influence, and that would be awkward.
Roshi drew another power, so he's gonna be okay.
All right, Lord Stairs Tower, not exactly what Portich wanted there. Really powerful card, but not with this hand. You want to get some power now. Portich just fingers crossed for a third power off the top here, undepleted too. And it is
Sentinel Mold's actually really going to do some work here. Sentinel Mold with Moldermuck. I guess I neglected to see that the first time I looked at this deck list, but Moldermuck plays a lot of units.
It's true, it does. Yeah, it counts every time you make a Moldermuck. It counts that. Well, Portage missing again on the last two draws. No more power in hand, no more influence. So thankfully for Portage, they have more 2-drops, but they can't. They're not really going up the curve, which is what they're going to need to do here.
Well, Roshi found a sigil here, so their curve is going to be all smooth. It's going to be like a muck here and then some block devour. Oh, no, going for the power right away. And then going to block devour to buff up the muck before playing it. Muck just works with everything. Like, it's great with Devour. It's great with Sentinel Mold. It's great with Explosive Potential. What an awesome card.
It's such an awesome card. Credit Cassandra for putting that one together for us, for letting our community appreciate how great that card is. Very well designed. Did hit that power. So Portage did hit the third power. It is a Primal, though, so Tara's still turned off. You can't play the Skimmer Wrangler, and opens up the 4-drops potentially next turn.
I mean, the decision was made for Portage. Like, Primal, guess I'll play the Primal 3-drop.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think you can afford to wait until Roshi plays a flyer. You need to put on some pressure here.
Yeah, I agree. A little awkward for Portage that both hands had Tara in the opener, had 2-drop into Tara in the opener in both hands, and could not deploy Tara at all. It's pretty rough.
Oh, opting to activate Grafter. Okay.
Okay, so options are... grabbing Fluctuate Reality here. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good answer to all the buffing that Roshi's deck does. Like, you play a giant, like last game you saw a 7/3 Sanguine Reaper, and none of the buffs matter when you're just getting transformed into something that costs less.
Yeah. Also a decent answer to Muck, right? Because it kind of neutralizes the Muck ability. Just turn it into a random tiny unit.
Yeah. Yeah, turns into a 1-drop.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, so Roshi is going to Devour and not trade.
Pump up that Muck, as you mentioned. Going to draw a Sigil and a Metabot Station. And then another Glen Path Cutter off the top. This one a 3/1.
And so Roshi just plays a couple of units here and is now basically in the large flyer waiting room. To draw one of those 4 or 5-drop Valkyries. They're going to be big when they come.
Play out that Moldermuck. I don't know about these mismatched, some foil, some not foiled Devours here, Roshi. I mean, it's a comedy. Come on.
You got to foil out as much as you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have the optimal split.
Roshi's doing this just for cover, just to throw off the, throw us off and throw off the opponent. All right, Fluctuate Reality, as you mentioned, you turn that into a Gar Master Sandmage. Not the worst 1-drop you could turn it into. Still a lot worse.
Trades with the Rage Grafter.
Yeah.
My favorite split is the cards that have alternate art versions, like the ones that I have are Permafrost, Shadowlands Guide, and Krull, where you can play one alternate art premium, one alternate art regular, one regular premium, and one regular. 4 different versions in one.
That's how you really throw your opponent off there. Stonescar Blueprints, the draw for Roshi, as you mentioned, just in the flyer waiting room, does have these Devours to dig a little deeper. But yeah, not much doing here. Roshi just setting up, staying alive, and waiting for a big tank to come along.
And the Metabot Station and Devours will buy a lot of time. Like, yeah. I'm not really worried for Roshi here, even though Portich is going to get to put down a Valise or a tower. I think Valise, with 2 units in play here, is going to be the play. But Roshi has a lot of digging potential and a lot of outs to Valise. Imagine hitting an Iraq here, just making like 5 spiders.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. What is the... This is Heirloom do here? So this one makes a 4/2 relic weapon with Warcry. Okay, Warcry 2. What's your favorite heirloom?
The one I've played the most is the Skycrag one. Its ability is turn your Davia into Goldplate Goliath. Okay. But I think my favorite one, if I just could choose one of the relics to have in play, would be the Praxis one. I think that was really cool. Those 3/1/1s with charge that draw a card if they hit the opponent that turn.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet one. I think with all the discard going around, I think a lot of people like the Feln one, right? Just draw a bunch of cards, get a bunch of discard value.
Right, really, they're all useful.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Like,
as you mentioned, that Devour train just going.
You still play it if you're a Combre deck.
Yeah. We hunt as a pack. Hey, Just Bava, thank you so much for the sub. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the tournament and the stream. We really appreciate it. Portich gonna hit that tower down. Roshi's still sticking around, still at 22 health, still another Devour in hand, but Portich is developing a little bit.
Yeah, Roshi just drew a bunch of power. Oh, okay. And he had Fall to Ruin in his market, right? Like, I think this is going to be a Fall to Ruin for sure.
It does have Fall to Ruin in
the market. And because the Iraq is not buff, the Vinegrafter picked up all the buffs.
It's true, that 5/2 Vinegrafter. 5/2 regen for 2 is nothing to sneeze at. But you're right, that Araka did not pick up the buffs, but still good in hand. Here comes that first Vinegrafter. Going to go straight to the market. And there you go. You called it again. Fall to Ruin, and then let's buff up that Araka as well.
So you'd love to hold this Fall to Ruin until the... it's not actually stay at Rhoda until the Rhoda comes out of the tower. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Roshi's going to be able to live that long. Like the Grafter having Berserk and this Valise about to come down and the Flyers. So we have to fire this off next turn and have to find some other way to beat Rhoda.
Regen on these is pretty nice to buy a little bit of time there. Can soak up all the overwhelm damage as well.
Portich has enough power to play a Valise here while holding up Argos Technique, but Roshi has the 8 power to pay for Argos Technique, so let's have to check to see if Roshi plays around that.
Good call.
I suspect that he will, since he put away the Stone Scar painting instead of the sigil, like foregoing the 1 extra life from your power.
We're going to see the Ironclad Oath here. Going to pump up one of these Valkyries up to a 5/5, try to push through a little bit more damage, but actually just going through the 5 in the air, just chipping away for Portich, not going to attack with everybody, not make some bad trades or play out that Valise. So here comes the Valise here.
Interesting. I really don't know why you play Valise post-combat. You could have attacked with the extra Valkyrie and done 3 extra damage and looted.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder what the thought process was there. Maybe wanted some extra protection for the tower.
Oh, no. Oh, I see. Portich is afraid that one of the charged Valkyries from Roshi wants to protect the tower.
Okay. Sacrificing some value here to make sure that the tower sticks around if Roshi draws a flying charge unit.
Yeah, and you could have still played Valise pre-combat and like attacked with Iron Priestess or something, and like it gets eaten by the 5/2 Vinegrafter, but then you get a 3/3 weapon and you get the loot and you get an extra damage. So now Roshi has to think whether he has to play Fall to Ruin here, whether he can afford to wait another turn, like for example, like play and activate Sentinel Mold or activate the Stone Scar blueprint to get the weapon, like kill Valise or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad play. Even pay 7. It plays
heirloom.
You could play the
spell is the blueprint. Yeah. The relic is the heirloom.
All right, I mixed those up as well. You could pay 7 here. I kind of like that. Pay 7, get the heirloom, kill off that Valise, and then keep the Fall to Ruin around for next turn.
I guess the worry is if you do that and they have Argos Technique to save it, you take 4 damage from attack, go to 15. And you take, I guess, only another 4 from the Valkyrie. Okay, well this attack just means he's played Fall to Ruin.
Portich going to fire off those easy blocks there. And there you go, Roshi playing the power out before the Fall to Ruin. So well played, Roshi.
Yep, and these are open deck lists. Like, Roshi knows that Portich has technique. Portich knows that Roshi got Fall to Ruin from the market. Right, Iraq versus the world, including Rhoda coming out next turn, looks very good for Portich. Ooh, random soldier and got a stealth one. You have no idea what that is. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Are there a lot of stealth soldiers?
Well, at the very least, there's this one. There's the 2/3 that either draws a card or makes a soldier, depending on whose turn it was revealed on. There's a 3/2 with Valor, and there's a 3/3 vanilla. Might be more. That's just the ones that I know of from because they're commons in draft. Well, the 2/3 one is rare, but other ones are commons.
So I gotta say, after the Fall to Ruin play, I mean, Porter's still able to rebuild fairly quickly. I mean, they still have the active tower. They were able to get that Ursa Squadron out, and they were able to get this unit out. Plus, they still have Dara Lee in hand and the Wrangler in hand, or the Skimmer Wrangler in hand as well. So not really pressuring Roshi a lot, but if you can rebuild like that after a Fall to Ruin and kind of put the pressure back on Roshi again, not a bad place to be in. So Rock's a little bigger now, and we do have, as we mentioned, the heirlooms. I think there's 2 heirlooms already out. Yeah. And then a 3rd blueprint, so a 3rd one in hand.
So Portich is about to get a 6/6 flyer,
Yeah.
and this Daru Lee is 1 power away from amplifying and turning some 2/2 into a dragon. Like, Portich can put on the pressure forever here.
Yeah, absolutely. It always feels bad when you play a Wrath and then the next turn you're like, man, I wish I had another Wrath. All right, there comes the Iraq and 2 deadly 1/1s.
Yeah, and the top unit of Roshi's deck gets like +9 here, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah, because this triggers for both these Razor bots, right?
So if that hits like Sanguine Reaper, like Rhoda was only chumping that because Sanguine Reaper has quick draw.
Yeah.
So like that's a way that Roshi could steal the game. The like bashing for a 1,000,000 charge.
Just pump the top of your deck enough and then draw a flying quick draw unit. That's good strategy.
And when you're this far behind, like you kind of have to have a plan like that.
Mm-hmm. It was a sigil to draw for Portich, so they do have the
rock.
Yep.
Transform something into a dragon.
Yeah, and those dragons are going to be bigger than that Iraq, so that Iraq just has to. It has the regen shield on it, so it can play a little bit of defense, but that is another dragon. So you got a 6/6 flyer and a 5/5 flyer. And the 2/4 flying regen can slow down a little bit, but it's not really an answer to those.
And Roshi already got Fall to Run out of the market. His removal main deck is Defile, and these heirlooms only make 4/2 weapons. Like he has no way to kill these giant flyers other than like trade his own giant flyers for them. Like, that is a big Molder
15/4 Moldermock is pretty good. The pumps didn't go to the Sanguine Reaper, but a 15/4 Moldermock's pretty good. But it doesn't answer the flyers.
I think it's just going to get chumped until Roshi's dead in the air, but it's cool to see.
Cool to see. It can give some more triggers to the Sentinel molds, but yeah, doesn't really help Roshi in this standpoint at all.
I think Portich has enough chump blockers to finish Roshi off with these 2 big flyers.
I think it's just a 2-turn clock, right? So the Skimmer Wrangler can stun the Iraq, can hit for 2 attacks. So theoretically, Roshi has to draw something this turn. Another sigil to draw for Portich. So in hand is the Skimmer Wrangler, and then a Rail Driver as well.
The Skimmer Wrangler also has Berserk. Jeez.
Huge. That's going to be big. That's a 7/6, although not amazing against the 1/1 deadly blockers, but... Oh, it does have Overwhelm, though, so yeah, that's pretty good putting it on that. I forgot about the Overwhelm.
Yeah, I don't know what Roshi can even draw at this point. Yeah, that's...
Shadow Sigil's not going to be in. Yep, nothing that Roshi can do here. I think that's just going to be game. So we're going to go to game 3. So Porter's going to tie that one up. Let's see while they're finishing this game out. See if we have any results from the back tables here. All right, we've got the 16 seed Earth's Overseer winning at 2-0 over the 1 seed Ambivalent Thoughts. Apple Chips taking it 2-1 over Pleasing Sky 4. We've got Sunnyvale 2-0 over Aroma Nova, Spifferific 2-1 over Canada, The Overmaster 2-0 over I Am Straight, Mail 2-0 over HeyYU, Reason 2-1 over Joltaires, and this is the last match. Everyone else is finished, so pretty quick round one so far. I was expecting to see a bunch of 1-1s, but yeah, we're going to go to game 3, and this is going to be the final match of the round.
That game was a good demonstration of how well soldiers can grind. Like, if Roshi isn't pressuring Portich with those big flyers, like, Portich is able to meter out their threats to play around the Wrath and to beat the various blockers that Roshi presented and, like, keep up the pressure the entire game. Like, Roshi really needs to turn the corner at some point to win, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, it's not your kind of traditional aggro deck per se. The traditional aggro decks where you say you're going to try to win in the first 5-6 turns, and then, you know, those decks kind of peter out after that. And if you're not ending the game by turn 6 or 7, then the game's pretty much over. You don't really have a lot of staying power. But yeah, this Soldiers deck seems like it was able to tussle there late into the game and still had pretty good top decks and was able to beat a Wrath and keep that pressure up. And it wasn't like it, you know, needed to burn 6 to the face to get that final damage. It was pretty overwhelming damage there.
Yeah, all right. I'm excited to see the rubber match here.
All right, well, they are ready, so let's head back down to game 3. Alrighty. This hand's pretty good for Roshi, I think. We've got 2 power, got a blueprints, bunch of cards we can play. Seems like a pretty good
This looks like exactly what you want against aggro. You get to go Vinegrafter into Moldermuck and then like devour a Metabot after that and kind of see where the game takes you from there. And then Portich also has what you want. He's got 1 drop of Permafrost to get a blocker out of the way, and then a Stayer's Tower that can actually be cast this time.
Yeah, and then Natara that can also be cast this time. So, all right. Portich, it does seem like Portich is going to need to keep drawing gas, though. I mean, with anybody, I guess you don't want to keep drawing power, but Portich is going to need to keep drawing units after this, especially if Roshi's able to deal with them.
Roshi debating playing a Metabot station there, but I think you just play the Grafter. Like, if it gets perma, it's not the end of the world.
Oh, are you surprised? Yeah, are you surprised for that Permafrost? Yeah, I thought Portich was going to fire that off. Perhaps the thought process there is for the Moldermuck. A good answer to Moldermuck, but it's a good answer to Vinegrafter too.
Yeah, it's also somewhat awkward that since Portich wants to play Terra this turn, that like you're not getting any good attacks ever, basically.
There's that Terra here.
Also, this Daru can't exhaust Terra or the Valkyries from Lord Stayer's Tower to become a 5/4. So this is just going to be a 2/1 forever. The non-soldiers coming into play again.
Again. You have to exhaust a soldier to use that, so... more like Huru aggro 2 and 3 drops that don't have matching creature types.
Yeah. Huru not tribal aggro.
All right, Roshi going to the market
here. Instead of playing a Moldermuck or a Devour.
A Combust, a Dark Purveyor, a Falchion, a Wyatt's Junkyard. Okay, gonna grab a Combust there.
Okay, so this plays around like the Tara getting big, or like Rich playing a Valise, I suppose. You really want to answer Valise. That's a really scary card.
Yeah, the Permafrost looking a little less good against Roshi with the Combust and Devour. Lots of sack fodder for that, but still a 1 power answer to a pesky unit. I don't think if Portich goes up and Permafrost on a Moldermuck and forces Roshi to Devour or Combust it, it's still fine. You still got rid of the Moldermuck for 1.
It could be that Portich realizes that since they can continue putting on pressure throughout the game, unless they get counter pressured, that saving Permafrost for one of the big Valkyries is what you want to do. Even if it gets devoured or combusted, it still relieves the pressure, giving you more time to sort of deploy your things.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe the flyers are so impactful there. All right, we're going to see that combust here.
Wants to buff up the muck here. He just wants to sack Glenn.
Going to use our good
pressure
blocking.
The site. Okay, I like this line.
Taking out that Tara, pumping up the Moldermuck thanks to our pal Glenn there, and then both of these Vinegrafters still have regen shields, so essentially free attacks here to pressure the site. If Portich wants to stop, they have to basically throw away 2 units to protect the site. Not great for Portich's side.
Yeah, so Portich's other options off the site are still pretty good. Like Curfew does completely negate these line grafters. So like I can see that you want to protect the site. Yeah. I mean it costs you kind of dearly, but
Portich going to
the
lose the
payoff is worth
Darley
it.
and one of the Valkyries. Roshi going to fire up with a 7-5 Molder Muck. Yeah, we'll have to see. The Curfew Enforcement seems like a good play here to be able to basically neutralize these Vine Grafters. Maybe
And this is
shrink
what the
that Molder Muck a little
permafrost has
bit.
been waiting for too.
Yeah. But that can work. I mean, Curfew Enforcement plus Permafrost sort of clears the board. Roshi, of course, does have the Devour and has the Heirloom as well, but it does answer the current problem. And keeps the site alive, which is important.
Yeah, that's true. It is just kind of answering the current problem. So Roshi isn't that sad to lose their big muck. Like they still get the Devour, and like they get to look at a bunch of cards, and Portage doesn't get to develop another unit because they're spending all their power on the Permafrost and the Curfew Enforcement and such. This is still a close game.
Yep. So there's that Curfew Enforcement. Actually, just going to use it once just to make those Vinegrafters 1/2s, and then play out the Valise. They can play the Permafrost as well. I guess the 1/2 non-regen Vinegrafters are basically the same as 0/2s, but not exactly. But that's,
I mean,
I think
if both of
Portage
them
would
hit,
use
that
the.
takes out the tower.
That's true. But you can see Portage valuing getting the value off of that turn, using their power really efficiently, more than getting those mucks down to zeros. All right, Defile and another copy of Molder Muck. This one just a 4/4 Molder Muck, but but still pretty good.
So last game Roshi lost after Fall to Ruin in a spot like this. So I could see Roshi grabbing Fall to Ruin and then holding it until Rhoda comes out. It won't work out as well for him this game though because he's not getting up to 8 power and Portich does have the Argos technique.
It's true. Quick P, thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate you joining us today. Hopefully you're enjoying the tournament. All right, other options were what? Wyatt's Junkyard, Falchion, Dark Purveyor.
Oh, Wyatt's Junkyard also answers the site. You can chemical rounds a site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a Wyatt's Junkyard there. That next turn can answer the site. Second copy of Argos Technique. I wonder if... So this is going to be 5 to play the site, and then the chemical rounds is free. But
So
the
it
Argos
can't still be
Technique...
technique.
So
Yes.
yeah, with double technique, it still can, right?
Yeah,
Or
I guess it's not going to go well for Roshi here.
Even if Roshi draws a power, Portage can double technique. Or just single technique if Roshi doesn't draw power.
I guess we need to math this out here. So Roshi's going to take probably 5 here. And then is going to take like 11 next turn from the Valise plus this Valkyrie. And is going to go to the market for Fall to Ruin. So they'll be at 12. So they will be able to cast Fall to Ruin before they die. Except that the second Argos technique messes with that too. Yeah, this looks like Portich's game right now.
Second Argos technique is a good draw too. It's a really good time to draw those Argos techniques. Ooh, but firing off one to draw a random soldier. That's interesting. I think Portage thinking that with one of these units gets answered, gonna want to keep developing the board out here. Otherwise, Portage isn't doing anything. But yeah, knowing what Roshi, knowing Roshi's hand and the way it's looking, want to keep those Argos technique. But gonna get a vanilla 2/3. So not really the best RNG there for Portage.
Yeah, supporters clearly doesn't want to just like pass their turns until they draw another unit. They want to do something, and playing a bold adventure is doing something.
It is, and I think this also allows Portage to attack too. They can trigger the Valise because if you attack with both, well, they're not going to. But if you had attacked with both there, you wouldn't be able to protect the site anymore against these Vine Grafters. But
yeah, and this is playing on another Charge Valkyrie or a Defile.
Yeah. All right,
explosive potential not living up to its best potential here. I think this is going to be get your chemical rounds Argos technique turn.
Oh yeah, this is going to be rough. And like you said, open deck list, and Portage has been playing in a way that Roshi's probably not that surprised by the Arrows technique, but that's going to be tough for sure.
And the site hurts Roshi too. Which, I mean, I guess at 26 isn't that much of a big deal, but
you're right, it does do damage there. But here comes Rhoda, and that is going to be a problem for Roshi, being able to deal with that Rhoda. Now, we still have the Fall to Ruin in the market, but both these Vine Grafters are used up, so no way to go there right now.
Like, they're both used up?
Yep.
Oh, because the one got the combust earlier in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, so no way to even go get that Fall to Ruin now. And the heirloom, as we mentioned, is just a 4/2 relic, which can take out one of the units, but it's not really solving the problem.
All right, well, Roshi's back against the wall now.
And get a card draw off of Rhoda as well.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yep, a rock
it doesn't answer the Rhoda problem, but it answers the Valise problem.
All right, explosive potential. Gonna make that into a 5/3 rock, which is pretty good. Let's get a bunch of deadly 1/1s. That can gum up the ground pretty well. Ooh, actually, no, it's not going to. Not against a Lord Stayer's Tower off the top. Never mind. Woo. Curfew enforcement. The best curfew enforcement here.
So was Portich able to warp that last turn? Why didn't they warp it?
No, they drew. So they drew at the end of turn off of the Rhoda trigger. So the Rage Grafter must have been on top, I think. And then this was second from the top. But yeah,
I need to pay attention. Drawing cards at odd times, like end of turn. Yeah. Well, now I think Portich just has this. Yeah. Roshi's entire board is neutered, and this Rhoda just gets to go wild, drawing cards, dealing damage.
Well, all three games so far have been somewhat defined by who has control of the air too. I think both games were won by big flyers hitting through. The ground has been gummed up quite a bit, but yeah, Portich going to get the overwhelm on the 5/5, shrink the whole board. Those deadly units mean nothing. Attacking with a 7 attack Rhoda. All the ball's all in Portich's court. Now Roshi can still draw a way to go to the market and try to get a Fall to Ruin the following turn, but still going to be a ton of damage. If Roshi can even survive long enough to do that, it's going to need what? Another Vine Grafter, go to the market, and then the following turn play it?
Yeah, I think it has to be this turn. It's either that or like consecutive Shadow Runes to like make this Moldermuck win a race somehow. Okay.
Okay.
Well, this muck is really big now, right? It's like a 8/3 or something like that. 10/5.
Yeah. I like what Portich did there too, that they were able to empty their hand and then get invasive species and then still have an empty hand to draw off Rhoda at the end of turn. It's the value. All right, there's that muck going out there.
Ooh, Portich can transform this Moldermuck into a dragon, but then Rhoda could get blocked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess you transform into a dragon after combat, and then next turn you could overgrowth the rock before attacking. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. Like, it's kind of weird, but okay. I guess Portich is probably just going to turn one of their own units because then they have a 2-turn clock with Police giving overwhelm.
Yeah, I think we probably. All right, that's going to be. All right, we're going to give it to the 6/6 Rage Grafter.
Not even.
Here. I'm going to go to the market.
Daruli.
Give one of your Stormhawk Concoction, give one of your units +3/+3 and flying this turn. Okay. Is that just game? Oh, you can't do that and the Vicious Overgrowth, though. But that's still going to be pretty big. Might just be game.
So you get to deal 15, 16, 17. I think you are a little bit short because you can't attack with the 1/1 as well and get the Valise buff.
Right.
This is 26 in the air, but you get to block 10 of it. Oh, going with the invasive species, interesting.
Okay. A lot of damage on this, but as you mentioned, it's not quite lethal.
Probably just block that with Moldermuck.
But it's at least 17. Yeah, so that's going to put Roshi down to 2. Block with Moldermuck, as you said. Just get a free Moldermuck there. Portich out of power, so Portich can't vicious.
You get a -7, -8 invasive species. You mark it nice.
Nice. Roshi has to do the Rune of Illusion though, because as we know, Portich just has Portich has the Vicious Overgrowth either way.
I mean that was Roshi's plan, was to draw back-to-back Runes of Illusion. Like, it could happen here.
It's a lot. It's a lot of damage.
This is 9, and then next turn you get 8. So like, if Portich lets this hit through for some reason, have to go face here.
Beckoning, yeah. So Beckoning's getting 1-1.
Ooh, the damage to itself gains a life? I didn't think about that. But going for the sight.
Oh, it does. That's interesting.
Why block here? I'm very confused.
Yeah, I don't sure what that block was there, but yeah, it's gonna kill the site either way. Roshi gonna gain up to 12. We have Vicious Overgrowth as we mentioned. If there's anything else in the market, not really.
This is just lethal damage.
Dragon, yeah, that dragon's gonna be exactly 12. Oh, plus the 13 because of the Valise. That's better. That's gonna give you +2 instead of one more. Here we go.
Right,
and
wow.
Portich is gonna take that. Wow, congratulations, Portich.